Well, welcome back to Krown's Keto Cave. It's a little bit of a energy-less morning over here from Chicago, Illinois for myself. Got a good night's sleep last night, but for whatever reason, just not feeling like the general energy that I typically want to be feeling when I start my day. But that's fine because right now Bitcoin hasn't really been doing anything that requires much more energy, especially from outside of the conversation that we've been having for the past week. Although I do want to follow up on a lot of the weekly closes that we saw on Bitcoin corollaries and a few things that suggest that we are going to be seeing a move relatively soon. And when I say a move, I don't mean one of these like $200 moves, of which we've been seeing actually plenty of those over the past week and a half. But I do mean like a sustained move. I think it's likely to be the next big breakout. $1,000 plus move does come within the next few days, as we'll be showing what to look for here. Anyways, with all of that said, I would like to wish you the best of the best, also the happiest of the happiest. I always forget that there's something that I really want to say before I get into the actual analysis, and then I remember after every stream, every fucking time, and it's happening again today. Anyways, let's get into lives here right now. I'll remember it later. And with that said, GBTC on the daily right here. Anyways, GBTC did close, not just close, but open and closed a pair of daily doodles below the 200 moving average right here. That's the white moving average that you see. And so we're kind of stuck at our middle of May low. So my general thoughts on Bitcoin is we're likely to see something like this. And the way that GBTC is shaping up right here, it would suggest that we're, while we probably do bounce around here, short term probably does end up heading further south over time. I think the next obvious area, if and when this current area from the middle of May lows does, if it does break, which again it has to fully inform the break first. My next big target area would be down around here, which would probably put us at the mid 5,000s for spot. Anyways, that's well and far away. And to look at spot and kind of compare it to GBTC again, putting this chart in your mind's eye and kind of just looking at it as just a very simply put, a pair of descending triangles. We have this major one right here that we put in for about 3 months, and then we had this one right here that we put in over the past couple weeks. Anyways, GBTC hitting both the measure moves actually from these guys, so very good confluence on this, and I would say that does align with us likely bouncing from this targeted area right here. So I do believe that Bitcoin is going to play out some sort of a short squeeze in that region, maybe reverses as well. I would like to take each and every one of these major levels as potential reversal point. I think that while this area that we're currently on right now for GBTC is a potential area, I think the chances of it are not very high, but again, that's just my opinion. I'll be happy to let it play out itself, and if it does break down, if we get more daily total closes below, let's call it 865, 860-ish region, I would be looking for the next level to be hit down around 785 to $7.5. It looks like. So the stakes are pretty high right here because the next leg down would be, on spot price action, another $1,000, $1,500 down from even the $7,000 level. So now we're talking about again into the fives. Anyways, like I said, I'm getting way ahead of myself right here. Bitcoin on spot has actually not even done the second leg of what we looked at on GBTC, right? On Bitcoin spot, and this is Bitstamp right here. You do see that it's still kind of basing in that same area, that same territory that GBTC was putting in that descending triangle in, right? The second one that broke, that did confirm a breakdown, it did hit the actual target all the way down, which would correlate with, again, the middle of May lows right here, which would put us around actually low 7,000s. So I would say that this is still very much within the realm of possibility, and I do think that I am leaning on that happening. I am overall bearish on Bitcoin as long as we're below, especially the 200 exponential moving average right here, which is now actually trending below and getting a negative slope, as all major exponential moving averages are having either a neutral or negative slope right now. The simple moving averages are starting to curl down as well. Of course, the 10 symbol has a negative slope, but the white 200 symbol right here is just kind of flattening out right now. And just from a slope analysis standpoint, pressure is down, and that is why I do put a lot of weight on this area right here. As long as this area is rejecting, I have to be bearish, and I do believe that we have more downside to go. Now the thing is that if we were to see Bitcoin not break the current area that it's basing on right here, the 377 exponential moving average, which is currently at around 7,900 region, the longer that it goes sideways, actually, the better that it actually does shape up longer term. But when I do talk about sideways action, I do mean, probably like a month or two at the least, for that to start to morph back into maybe reaccumulation or just regular accumulation. In this stance right here, it looks like redistribution to me after this distribution top right here, if you are thinking in Wyckoff. But of course, it's very, very simple the way to trade this right now, and I feel like most people want to do the backwards somersault 360 flip, right? And at the end of the day, man, there's two levels that you need to be watching if you're a trend trader here. It's a 3.7 cent exponential moving average, again about 78.50 to 7900. If that breaks to the downside, I'm looking for the next move down into the basically low 7,000s, upper 6,000s. As we looked at on GBTC, I think that one's more likely to happen. But until we actually do break the 377 with the daily total closure below there, or a 4-hour closing below like maybe 7,800 or 7,850 would probably do it for me. I wouldn't be on the side of that trade. And for right now, I have no real open exposure with positions. I'm very happy to be just watching this, and I'll uncover whichever side wins. And of course, to the upside, is it possible that we go to the upside? Yeah, there's always a possibility, right? But at the end of the day, I don't really think that it is within the scope of a trader's conversation until we get back above 8,700 or wherever the 200 exponential moving average is coming in right now, which is about 8,650. Although the 200 simple and 200 exponential moving average are just right overlaid within this region. So perhaps if you want to be even more conservative, I would say the 200 simple, although that's really divergent away from the 200 exponential moving average now. So if you are looking for that trade, the problem with using the 200 simple is that I think that the easy move would mostly be over. I think it would be mostly be over if we did retake 8,650 right here, or even just 8,600. I think would do it for a move probably back into the lower 9,000s. About 93 to 9,400 is where I'd be looking towards, and then I'd have to come back and reassess after that to see maybe we put in another lower high, or maybe we're actually getting ready to do a very, very nasty bear trap right here. As a Bitcoin believer, as a Bitcoin, I guess aficionado, I don't even know what the fuck that means, but hopefully it means that you like Bitcoin. I would much rather Bitcoin, base out here and go higher, of course. But as a trader, really can't care about, what the actual trend. I mean, well, you should care about what the trend is, but you can't get married to your asset in a sense like, you don't want to just be bullish because it's Bitcoin, right? You want to be reasonable because you're a trader, and well, traders have to fucking trade. Anyways, I'm gonna take us through this water, man. I am really, really thirsty right now, so just 1 second. Cue all of the very, very angry comments. That was very unprofessional, Krown. Why are you drinking? Why couldn't you just mute the sound while you drink? It's like, okay. I don't know if you haven't realized this yet, but this is not, this channel is not set up to be a professional channel, my friends. Anyways, again, I mean, there's no such thing as a professional even in this realm in cryptocurrency land, right? There's no oversight over regulatory agency like there was in traditional markets. When I was a trader, when I was a market maker on traditional markets, I had to go through tests, I had to go through the SEC, FINRA, and the CFTC. And get and get clearance from all of them essentially, and take all these tests and whatnot, and so you get deemed and you get verified by them as what they consider professional, which is basically just you pass the test essentially, which is a really fucking hard test to be honest with you, and you don't really need to know what's on the test in order to be a trader. But more importantly than that, my point is that when people talk about professionals in crypto, there's no such thing. There's no such thing. There's no, or at least right now. We're all just crypto fiends, crypto fucking weirdos. Sorry if that does offend you. I apologize. Anyways, looking at daily right here, we actually still see daily momentum also as angle to the downside. Daily Stokes still coming down here and actually holding this trend line, which has rejected it from the bullish control zone, as you can see right here. But the thing is with this is that, while that would be more on the bearish side and actually would be kind of aligning with, a break of this formation in this way to the downside more soon than not, more proximal than not. The thing is that all lower timeframes are actually disagreeing with that right now. And I do think that if we go down to the lower timeframes right now, with all of what we said on the higher time frames in mind, remember the 78.50 level to the downside and to the upside about 8,600, we'll call it. And yes, it has changed a little bit, but lower time frames right here are suggesting that we actually do have a little bit of upside to go. In fact, I do think that this bounce gets carried on a little bit more. So yesterday, if you remember, if you recall during the live stream, I was looking at this trend line right here on the 4-hour Stokes, right? And so we initially saw it reject right at the edge of the bearish control zone. That snaked around a little bit. We did retest the lows, but once we we retested the lows, you can see that divergence play started to emerge right here on the 4-hour RSI, 1, 2, 3 strikes, and we got the play, to the upside. And that's what we were looking for yesterday. Remember, I said a bounce to 8100, 8200-ish region. I think we got this bounce up to 8110 on BitMexico. And looking at it right now, I do think that it probably tries higher. The thing with this is that we are kind of letting all momentum also just reset right now, as we do see volatility metrics really get to extreme lows here. So if you look at 4-hour historical volatility percentile, we are at levels that typically precipitate major moves. The last time that we were this low or lower was back on over here before the dooms dropped from 10,000 to where we are right now. Times before that were a lot of like the multi-$1,000 moves within this consolidation as well. And then the times before that we were even this low was back in March of this current year as well, building up this massive base before the big breakout to the upside. So, I do think that this bounce could very easily pop back up, test, around 8,200, maybe even 8,350-ish region. I do think that, it's still very much a consideration as long as we're just not breaking below this critical point right here. Once again, about 7,900 on a 4-hour digital. Well, I'd say below 7,900 on a 4-hour digital close probably does it, even though I have been saying 7,850. It's like, how conservative do you want to get? That would be a lower low from what we're doing right here. You technically want a lower low from this guy right here. Yeah, 7,850 is the right one to be doing then, to be fair. Or just a tick below 77.65, just a low of last week. That would do it for me as well. But for right now, it looks to me like Bitcoin's in a little bit of a limbo as we let the lower time frames kind of reset, while the higher time frames still dictate the overall direction. So that's what I'd say about that. While I am overall bearish here, it makes it difficult to trade for the downside until we actually get the next break. Is really what I'm coming to, and judging the next sort of little bounce that I think that we're about to get here. Where's a likely target? I would be looking at the 12-hour dildo time frame right here, and I would say a couple of areas the daily, which couple areas really stare me in the face right here. Obviously, the 21 exponential moving average, that's always going to be important. Whereas that coming in around 8,300, 8,350-ish region. So I do think that would be a pretty obvious area. And then if it's a little bit more aggressive, I would say somewhere around the 10 simple, which is actually around 8,200. So my further target from yesterday. So both those areas relevant. I do I don't have a particular preference on this one. These things are typically very, very difficult to judge. And as a trader, this is one of the times where I want to be waiting for the breakout rather than trading supporting resistance within this region, just because I don't really trust it in the volatility suggests that we are looking at the breakout, historical volatility percentile suggests that we're looking at the breakout extremely soon. I mean, not even on the 4-hour where we at extreme lows, like multi-month lows, but on the 12-hour, which is 3x degrees more important. We can see that the 12-hour is really starting to get down to extreme lows as well. The last time they were this low, once again, was before the break, literally right before the break of 10,000 bucks down to, again, about 7,800. The time before that we were this low, we weren't even this low back on over here in March before the big breakout from 3,000 to really 5,000, 6,000. And then the time before that we were this low was, well, back on over here in November of 2018 before this massive drop from 6,000 to 3,000. So we are looking at a pretty damn big move here. I do think that we're going to see a $1,000 plus move, probably multi-$1,000 plus move emerging from this region. That also does mean that if we do break to the upside, back above 86, 8,700. I could certainly get bullish for a move into like at the very least the lower 9,000s and probably the upper 9,000s as well. But like I said, I don't really think that that's the likely way that's going to break. I should also mention though that 12-hour stocks have crossed the upside. This is again another reason why I'm not so convinced that we just break down from where we are right now. The 12-hour stocks have been just so phenomenal with catching just about every move. Like just blindly trading them with the bot would have been phenomenally successful for the past 6, 7, 8 months now. And they are crossed up right now. So I would say that makes me a little bit less confident. Perhaps we play out a little bit of bounce here, maybe bounce back up to like 8,300, let them reset a little bit, get back up to the edge of the bearish control zone. And then if you see pressure on if you see some sort of divergence play on like a, half time frame for that, like a 6-hour, probably that's when you actually do see enough momentum built up to actually break to the downside here. Anyways, Let's go check out how CMEs closed for the week and we'll Friday as well. CMEs on Friday, once again retaining these lows. Still have not broken below last week's low on October 6th, but damn close once again. Just a few bucks off on this one, or actually about 50 bucks off on this one. Still, all major moving averages are in a more bearish posture here, no doubt about that. But the big thing for me is the same thing as spot prices. The obvious area is about 7,850. As long as we're hovering above there, it makes it very difficult. It makes it very difficult to judge that next leg down. If we do get the next leg down, my target would be all the way down here towards this horizontal right around about 7,100, which we don't see any sort of a premium. We actually see futures trade at parity with spot, which tells me that well, first and foremost, what stands out here is that we closed at 79.60, and it is trading parity with spot. So that means that coming into tomorrow, when CME's open once again for the weekend at I believe 5 or 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we should see where spot is trading in relation to that. If spot is trading above, I'd actually probably look for the bounce to get extended more, and that's probably where it gets the impetus to get back up to like 83, maybe even 8,400, something like that. By the same token, if spot is trading below where CME is closed on Friday, I would say that really greatly increases the chances that it actually does break down on a nice little gap down open, and in any sort of a rally up to start up on Sunday evening would be a sell. Again, that would also likely coincide with with an open that would be probably somewhere right around 7,900 or lower. So that's what I'd be looking for there. So you'll know, obviously, on just by monitoring spot before then, and there's plenty of hours in the day. Anyways, let's see what else do we want to talk about here. Yeah, so let's go back. Let's do a little bit more of a deep dive into momentum oscillators and also moving averages here on spot charts. Man, my eyes just feel tired as fuck. Do you guys ever get that, where it's just like your eyes feel like they're stinging in a sense? I fucking hate that, man. Anyways, looking at the 12-hour right here, a few things really stick out to me. First and foremost, we do have the death cross on the 12-hour. We've never gotten a death cross on a 12-hour double time frame and not played out like a significant downwards move. Not only that, but not only have not played out a significant downwards move, but we never got a death cross on a 12-hour double time frame in a bull market in Bitcoin ever. If we actually go back and just take everything off and just show those two major moving averages, which actually I'll leave one more on just because I do want to talk about that soon too. That's the blue in the background, but we're focusing on the purple and the green being the 55, the purple being the 200. You can see that in prior bull markets for Bitcoin, never got a death cross, never even close once. Well, actually, did we get one right here? We might have got one here for a second. Nope. Yeah, for a split second right here, but you can see that that's really not what we're doing right now on Bitcoin. And before that, it generally stays up. It generally stays buoyed up, and they like their distance from each other. Of course, we have gotten the death cross on the initial drop from 10,000 right here, which to me does signal long-term trend is changing in a big way. Not only that, but looking at the green 55 exponential moving average and putting the spotlight now on the blue 377 exponential moving average, which had a pretty nasty cross right here, right at the rejection. That tells me that this is the one that the Boston algos are watching as they sold this area right here, playing this cross out, which tells us that this is the one to really watch, in my opinion. If this is really the one to watch, in my as far as that suggests, let's just go back and see what historically this has meant for Bitcoin. As the last time that we saw a cross the upside was right here during this consolidation, which is very, very reminiscent of what we're doing right here, right? During this portion of Bitcoin price action, Bitcoin was in an ascending triangle, right, on the lows. It breaks the upside and then gets basically just flags out and then moves higher as we get the cross right here during the consolidation. Keywords: cross right here during the consolidation. What do we have more recently on Bitcoin? Well, we play out a descending triangle. It's pretty much the opposite of an ascending triangle that we played out, early in the year on the lows. We put the high end right here, get the first markdown, and what are we doing right now? To me, this looks very, very similar to what we're doing right here. It's your first major consolidation as two major moving averages converge on each other, and now they're gaining divergence away from each other, and that to me is not, is just another thing that makes me a little bit more goosed on the bearish side for Bitcoin right here. Not only that, but we have very obvious monikers of a change of behavior just granted from the volume metrics on this right here. Look at the volume on the breakdown from Bitcoin coming in from 10,000 down to 8,000 low. That is actually even more of a climax than what we saw at the $14,000 high right here. Now, of course, different exchanges will show different things, but even just the fact that they are comparable, like that this one is even within the realm of all of these major moves that we've seen in the past, tells me that this is, confirmed as a change of behavior. It's not just a one-off. It's likely to be sustained until we get something similar like this, another massive spike up, and then and then price action falling through in the upwards direction. Not just the volume spiking up, but price action needs to go as well, right? As right here, the volume spiked up, but price action goes down. So it's telling us about a change of behavior right there. So moving average is confirming that, and also volume also confirming that. Not only that, but if we go over and check out weekly RSI. I've really been speaking a lot about this, but I suppose we can talk a little bit more about this right now. Weekly RSI on Bitcoin has loved to be held into. This area right here where my cursor currently is about the 53 marker during bull markets. So I'm looking at the years from like 2015 to 2018 right here, and all these major massive moves down, on these valleys here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's when you see the weekly RSI come into this region, and that's where Bitcoin likes to base off. Even in the past, market cycles before that in 2012 to 2013 right here, that's where Bitcoin likes to base off of. If it's going to maintain that bullish trajectory. Anyways, it's see right here, Bitcoin's absolutely shattered this area. It is based on the bearish control zone, which is actually likely to bounce it on the first pass through, which is what we're kind of seeing right now, which is probably the best explanation of why Bitcoin's going sideways. But again, just putting the major moving averages back on, and playing these two things together, the way that I look at this is that we had a rejection last week off the yellow 20 exponential moving average on Bitcoin, and the 21 has been what Bitcoin loves to hold on during its bull markets. Of course, everyone already knows this, or I'm guessing if you've been tuning this content for a while, you probably already know this. It's not anything like too crazy, but what is even more damning to me is looking at both the yellow 20 exponential moving average and the red 10 symbol, which are about to have a cross. And the last time we had a cross was back on over here in March 2018. Of course, it didn't get the actual, if you would have blindly shorted this, it actually would have been okay. But more important to me is actually just the slopes of them, and they are both negative right now. And just in the past, we've never seen them both have a negative slope and not play out major massive moves to the downside. I'm looking at this area right here, which was a almost 76% drop back. Then this area right here, 86.5% drop back. So pretty fucking hefty. We had this one. We had this example right here. This is another 71% drop back, and now we're doing it right here. So I'm just curious, and I'm not saying that this is going to happen, but I'm just out of my own curiosity, and this is, again, a fresh look for me on this morning. Let's just see what happens if we had a 60% pullback. Where that put us around. That put us right around the 200 exponential moving average right here. If we were to extend that a little bit more towards one of the more nasty signals that we've got in the past, like a 75%, that would put us right back at the 377 exponential moving average on the weekly right here at our prior lows. Could it be that Bitcoin, basically is doing like some very, very long-term you start to like visualize this, which you actually really shouldn't do. My mentor always hated this and would scold me for doing this, but I'm just out it just to play around right now, just with that in mind, that it's not as important. If we were to come back down here and double bottom and then work back up, that would actually be good structure from a long-term perspective, just looking at this from a very long term, to work its way back up. But that also means that we can come, we can have some serious downside here. A lot of people have been asking me, like, at what price point do I just leave Bitcoin? I think that there's just better assets to trade once we, if Bitcoin takes out the prior low, anywhere below like $3,000, and I think that would probably do it for me. And again, I'm getting way ahead of myself right here. Like, do I think that Bitcoin's going down there? Like I said, I take everything one step at a time. I think that Bitcoin could bottom where it is right now. I don't think it's very likely, but it could. It could. It's not very likely though. I think it's more likely that we head down to like 7,000, upper 6,000, $7,000. Maybe try another one there, and then I think the next major area, around that would be like low 5,000s, like 52, 5,300, and below that, then, well, fuck it. Anyways, Okay, what else do we want to show? Maybe on the daily, back on over to the daily. Let's put on all major moving averages right here. There's a bunch of things to be aware of on the daily right here. Actually, let me take most of these guys back off. In fact, so there we go. So we're looking at the simple moving averages for the 50 and the 200, and then we're also looking at exponentials 50 and 200 as well. The dark green and green, that's your 50s. The white and the purple, that's your 200s. If that makes sense. Anyways, all of these guys are on a collision course for each other. So we're looking at an exponential moving average death cross and a simple moving average death cross. Probably if you were to draw a regression right here, assuming that we don't get a massive growthy green dildo back up to about 8,600, probably going to happen sometime early this coming week on the 23rd of October, tentatively speaking. So I guess I wouldn't be so early. I guess it'd be actually a little bit later. Looking at my calendar right here, this says it's the 23rd, so Wednesday. Anyways, that to me is very, 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 very nasty because, well, Bitcoin has a history of playing these out. Yes, you do get fake outs here and there, but when we see both these guys converging at the same time, that's typically when we get our biggest and best movements. So you can see right here, this was when the market really switched around right here, right? What about to the upside right here? They all converge on each other right here. And what happens after that? Major, massive move. Very, very, again, very similar to the 12-hour. All these crossings are happening during a consolidation while they're kind of using it in this case as resistance, in this case as support. In past time, when was the time that we saw them all kind of cross at the same time? Before that was back on over here, basically at the turn during 2015 of October, and then before that was beautifully calling the bull trap in July 2014 as well. And then before that, not really too much to talk about. But again, my point is that, that just adds on to extra confluence. And yes, I do put more weight on exponential moving average death crosses and golden crosses for that matter than simples. But, both of them having it just makes that even more real if you want to look at it like that. So again, we will get these crosses assuming we do not get back above about 8,600, 8,650 right here. So that's why I say that as long as we're below there, it is more bearish. It certainly is more bearish, and I would be looking for this to break to the downside. Overall. So that's really the crux of my thoughts right now. I probably haven't added all that much from what I haven't said this week. I think the only really new things that we're looking at right now is we get to see GBTC's weekly close and daily close, and also CMEs, and then also Bitcoin on lower time frames. Probably doing a little bit more of a bounce here. The question for me is yes, I would be looking for some more downside, but how high does this bounce take us? Do we get back up to 82? Do we get back up to 83? Could it be that it actually reverses here and we get back above 80, 86, 87? Possible. But I'd still take it one step at a time, and I'll probably try out some trades there. So this does start to formulate itself a little bit more, but overall, it's still like the rolling hills that we got going on right here. Bounces are getting weaker. Bounces are, all bounces have failed thus far for the last like 4 or 5 months. Sorry, maybe not 4 or 5 months, like 4 months perhaps. Let's see, what else can we talk about before we go? Let's go check out Bitcoin Dominus for a second. And then we'll look at, and then I actually want to look at total market cap. So Bitcoin Dominance right here. And then we'll look at some shitcoins, or altcoins is what I meant to say as well. Bitcoin Dominance looking to me like it's still playing out the pizza. Holy shit, man. It keeps on holding the bottom support of this. And I do think that we have some upside here. So I would have to say that alt's probably in for a little bit of damage over the weekend. I do think that short term it probably pops back up to like 69 region. And if it can close above on a daily total closing basis above 69%, I think this is going to get extended a lot more, up to 70%. Now, of course, it could, could it be that we fall through the floor here? Yes, but to me it looks like we're kind of putting in a base right here for now. So I'd still wait for confirmation above 69%, and then massive destruction for a lot of altcoin pairings versus Bitcoin. Maybe not versus dollar. We don't know direction on that just yet. But if we were to break below this level, close the daily total below like 68.3, I'd be looking for this to come all the way back down to 67. But looking at me like the falling pizza actually does want to play out here. And yes, this is a falling pizza. It actually does look like one, and acting like one, more importantly, which is probably what you want to see. Anyways, let's go take a look at total market cap as well, and then we'll go look at some beautiful altcoins. Total market cap has actually initiated or is in the process of initiating the death cross right here. I'm not bullish. Motherfucker. Last time we had a golden cross was during this consolidation right here. Massive move emerged from that. Last time that we had the death cross was motherfucker doesn't have enough price action history to really be of use. So unfortunately, this is a little bit less useful. But yeah, we are about 1 day away from confirming death cross right here, which on total market cap would suggest that the general market is headed lower. And how much lower? To me it looks actually on total market cap it's kind of nasty. Obviously, your last prior wick down here is going to be an area of interest. So I guess I already have it plotted out. Sending triangle measurement was actually all the way down here towards our April consolidation, which was around 179 billion, 175 billion region, which would correlate with about 5,500 on spot price action as well. But again, not a fan of this. Could we get back above like 225 billion? And would that look okay? Yes, it would, but we're not doing that right now. We're not doing that right now. Momentum also is on total market cap, still very much down on daily, and does not look good to me, man. What else do we want to look at? So now time to look at some of the top altcoins. Cardano drifting aimlessly sideways. I'd have to say, looking at the Bitcoin Dominus chart, I would still be holding on to what I said the other day, that I do believe it comes down to like 460 and taps at the very least the bottom side of the support right here. If it breaks it, I'd be looking for a return to the lows of like 400 most likely. What about Link? I know a lot of people are asking about that. And what are we doing here? Oh my God, are we going sideways? Yeah, we're going sideways. Overall, fine. A good chart like this going straight to the upside for the past year or so, while the rest of the market has been doing all sorts of different things. I think speaks for itself. But more importantly, right now going sideways, consolidating between about 28,000 and that 31,000 Satoshi high right there. I don't think it's going to be doing anything interesting for the next like month or so. Probably going to take its time. Remember when Bitcoin had its like 3-month run to the upside, and it took about 3 months to go sideways? Well, I'm probably looking at something somewhat similar here. Anyways, what about the other top shitcoins? What about Mr. Buterol? How are you doing, Mr. Buterol? Again, based on the lows, potential bounce targets, if the bounce does carry out a little bit more on Bitcoin, would be first and foremost right around 181.5, and then this guy right here at about 193 and a quarter. If things got really crazy, but does not look strong here. Put it that way. I would put it that way. Same thing as Bitcoin though. Until we actually close the daily dodo below like 170-ish region, I wouldn't look for the next leg down to like 150-ish until that happens. But could it put in a base here? Perhaps. But let's go see what Mrs. Litecoin's doing. Mrs. Litecoin on a daily kind of drifting aimlessly, still making lower highs, lower lows. So it is still very much in a downtrend. My chart is just so convoluted here. Here's all you need to know about Mrs. Litecoin. Put it on a weekly, put on a 200 moving average, and just see where we are in relation to that. As long as we're below it, I am bearish, and that is coming in at 57 and a quarter. As long as we're below, I am bearish, and I'd ultimately be looking down into like the mid 40s, like $44 to $45. By the same token, if Litecoin could get back above it, I would look for an immediate run back up to like 65, 66 region. But to me, this is acting as resistance right here with multiple weeks closing below. I would have a hard time getting excited about a chart that looks like that as it currently stands. Let's see, what does the daily look like? Daily Stoke still very much down. Daily price action, again, just in a downtrend. So might as well let the trend be your friend. At the very least, it'd have to get back above like 55 and 10 cents to do something even different on a smaller time frame. Looking at a 4-hour right here, I'm sure that we have some bullish divergence, which we're playing at right now. So yeah, maybe, if Bitcoin does bounce up to like 82, 8,300, I'd be looking for this one to come back up to like $56. Let's see, what about Stellar? What's Stellar doing? Stellar just going aimlessly drifting sideways once again. Weekly, if it closes below the 10 simple, I would remain overall bearish on it. If it closes above, probably do get another try back to 7 cent region. Monero, what's Monero doing? Monero's given up its whole fucking rally from the other day. Wow, just absolutely pathetic. Oh my, that is just brutal. That is brutal. Not even giving up the whole rally, like literally giving up more than the whole rally. Still, this just another lower high. Just another lower high, bro. Really don't like that one, even though it did have a daily jewel buy signal right here. But to be fair, that did have a pretty massive move already, to be fair. Yeah, about 19%. So do you typically get more than that on a daily a daily jewel buy signal? Yes, you do, but it's also 20%. I mean, that's pretty good. Anyways, I also realized that I didn't look at the 2-day and 3-day on Bitcoin as well. But still, this one in downtrend, not really inclined to think that anything drastically different is going on here. What about Ripple? Ripple at 29 and a third. Again, if we could close above the 200 simple right here, I would look for this to actually get extended quite a bit more, maybe into like the 33-cent region. But for right now, if this does close below the 200 simple, which is about 29 cents, I'd look for this to come back down all the way to 26 cents and perhaps beyond after that. But this one's going to have a chance, and I think that the market is kind of, rally or holding steady just in anticipation of XRP's swell event coming up, which is actually the first week of November, as someone corrected me in the comments the other day, which I really do appreciate, actually. So, usually Ripple has like a nice little run up into that event. I feel like everyone kind of knows the game by now, so we're kind of seeing less and less an effect, from that. And I think it would be reasonable to say that the effect will likely be priced in probably within a week of the actual event, which is probably sometime like late this coming week. Anyways, what about EOS? 290. Jesus Christ, man! Weekly looks absolutely wrecked. Daily, same thing. Just in a downtrend. Neo, same thing. Jesus Christ, man. Tron, looks like it kind of wants to test a little bit higher, maybe back up to like 1.6 cent, maybe, but still in a downtrend. Bcash trending down, still actually just closing on a lower low, and Zcash holding in there on a nice descending triangle. In fact, Zcash is the easiest one to get right now because it's put in a descending triangle on the lows, typically a continuation pattern, which would land it right back around like $30. So I would imagine that actually Zcash might be the easiest one to watch right now because this market typically does move together. So if it does break down, I imagine that spot price action does as well. Anyways, I forgot to check out expected moves chart. Let's go see what it's printing right now. It is kind of turning around, so it would be more on the. It would be more in the conversation of a of a little bit of a bounce here. Maybe it even does reverse. I want it to reverse, but I don't really think that's likely to happen. I do think a bounce is kind of likely here, though. Second standard deviation would be coming in around that 82. Oh, this is how fucked this is right now. The first standard deviation comes in around 8100, our current high of the day, and to the downside about 7850, 7900, which would be a confirmed break of the downside. By the way, if we did close below there, or at least I'd consider that. To the upside, though, the second standard deviation is coming in at 8200. Remember, 8200 does nothing for price action. That's less than a 5% chance. And the third standard deviation is coming in at 8325, which would change a little bit, but that is less than a 1% chance of happening. As suggested by historical volatility. Anyways, very, very interesting stuff right there. Anyways, I'm going to go back into spot price action here, wrap up this bitch, and send it off. So overall, Bitcoin on the daily, really, mostly the same. 377 exponential average to the downside. I'm looking for a move down to the low 7,000s, upper 6,000s, and probably bounce there. However, though, on the lower time frames for Bitcoin right now, I do think that it's actually kind of likely that we do carry out a little bit more of a bouncy upside, perhaps back up to like 82, 8,300. But even looking at expected moves, that's like kind of unlikely. So perhaps I'm going to be very, very wrong on that. And what I should just be doing here is following the trend and say, this looks like shit, it acts like shit, it's probably going to break down. But again, as a trader, I need something to go off of. So I'm still holding on to those areas. Nothing's really changed there. To the upside, I would happily change my opinion back above 8,600 and especially above like 8,900. But for right now, it's for right now, that's very far away. We're a lot closer to breaking to the downside than the upside. Anyways, that's going to do it for today. A little bit of a low energy video. I do apologize about that, but hey, I don't know. My sleep was, for whatever reason, fucked up last night. So I'll be signing off now. I might be back on later with some more live trades if they emerge. If we get a break on this, I would love to trade that one live. As maybe this might be one of the few times that I actually do take a breakout trade. Yeah, I suppose I'll see you soon. Take care, and until next time.